For the details of the stories, would you join us soon as we go on this very short break, and we will be right back.
Whether you're a native of Ibadan or a visitor, Aloore Radio brings you closer to the heart and soul of Oyo State and beyond. Aloore Radio, the online radio that amplifies the voice of Oyo State. Let us take you on a journey across continents as we bring you latest news, captivating stories, and diverse perspectives from around the globe. From breaking news headlines to fascinating features, discover the stories that shapes our society and the voices that demand to be heard. It's Newspaper Review on Aloore Radio. From the great city of Ibadan, your number one online radio station. We are the voice of Oyo State. Aloore Radio. Bring you everything from breaking news.
President must know that this is a bad time for our nation. We must look for foreign support to save this nation.
World news, sport, music,
just want me with you like guys,
and many more. To listen to our programs, follow us live on all our social media platforms on Facebook at Aloore Radio, Twitter and Instagram at Aloore Radio. You can also subscribe on our YouTube page on Aloore Radio. Make sure you click on the notification bell so you know when we are live. This is Aloore Radio, the voice of Oyo State.
SafeMusicList.com. Royalty-free music for marketing and promotional videos. Safe Music.
Welcome back to the newspaper review here on Aloore, transmitting from the GSM Studio, Ministry of Information and Orientation. Today, Monday, 11th March 2024. My name is Aboyede Ojo, and you can join us on Aloore Radio on our Facebook, www.facebook.com/Aloore Radio, on our YouTube at Aloore Radio, on our website, www.alooreradio.com. And let's go through the stories for today, and we will be starting on page 5 of the Nigerian Tribune, which says alleged budget pardon, tension grips Senate Appropriation Committee. There is tension among lawmakers in the Senate Committee on Appropriation following the alarm of alleged pardon of the 2024 budget raised by the chairman, Northern Senators Forum NSF, Senator Abdul Ingi. Ingi, who represents Bauchi Central Senatorial District in the Red Chamber, had, while speaking on BBC Hausa service at the weekend, alleged that the 2024 budget passed by the National Assembly was inflated to the tune of 3 trillion naira. He claimed that was approved on the floor of the Senate was 25 trillion naira, not 28 trillion naira. The lawmaker, who further alleged that budgetary allocation for projects and social infrastructures were skewed against the North, and disclosed that the Forum of Northern Senators had engaged the service of a consultant to look at the budget. For details of that story, you can turn to page 5 of the Nigerian Tribune, which says alleged budget pardon, tension grips Senate Appropriation Committee. And on page 8 of the Nigerian Tribune, it says Lagos rise stampede, Falana tackles custom. The families of the 7 persons that reportedly died in the Lagos stampede over subsidized rice sales must be sought out and compensated, senior lawyer Femi Falana urged on Sunday. He also threatened to sue on behalf of the deceased and the bereaved if government refuses to do the needful. Late February, a stampede occurred at a rice distribution point set by the Nigerian Customs Service, where the staple was sold at subsidized cost. Falana, in a statement, chided the federal government, especially the attempt by its media unit to spin the incident as the fault of the deceased. And I quote, "On February 23, 2023, the Nigerian Customs Service embarked on the distribution of 25 kg bags of rice to indigent Nigerian citizens in the Lagos area at its zonal headquarters in Yaba, Lagos State. The exercise was marred by a stampede which claimed the lives of 7 persons. The tragic incident led to the immediate suspension of the food disposal initiative by the Nigerian Customs Service (NCS). For details of the story, Lagos rice stampede, Falana tackles custom, you can turn to page 8 of the Nigerian Tribune. Also on that same page, it has beavers can't be used for Oyo local government election. This is coming from OISEC chairman. The chairman, Oyo State Independent Electoral Commission, OISEC, Mr. Isiaka Olagunju, has said the biometric voter accreditation system, BVAS, cannot be used for the forthcoming local government election in the state, as he gave reasons for this position. Olagunju disclosed this in a conversation with the Nigerian Tribune against the backdrop of the stance of some political parties that the non-use of the beavers may deter their participation in the election. Last week, the All Progressive Congress (APC) threatened not to participate in the election should the commission not guarantee the usage of beavers, just as the Social Democratic Party (SDP) urged the OSEC to make good its promise to deploy beavers for the election, as it would guarantee the conduct of a free, fair, and acceptable election. For details of that story, you can turn to page 8 of the Nigerian Tribune, which says beavers can't be used for or your local government election, coming from the OISEC chairman. And on page 14 of the Nigerian Tribune, it says Union Bank advocates inclusivity, women empowerment at 2024 International Women's Day celebration. Union Bank of Nigeria has re-emphasized its advocacy for an equitable and inclusive society devoid of biases, stereotypes, and discrimination. This assertion was made by a special event hosted by the bank to commemorate this year's International Women's Day celebration under the global theme Inspire Inclusion, tagged Ability over Gender. The occasion provided the bank with another opportunity to showcase its commitment to gender inclusivity and promotion of female excellence and competence across different fields of endeavor. For details of that story, Union Bank advocates inclusivity, women empowerment at 2024 International Women's Day celebration. You can turn to page 14 of the Nigerian Tribune. Also on page 22 of the Nigerian Tribune, I have here, we are authentic stakeholders in Ekiti PDP Fayose Group. The members of the People's Democratic Party PDP in Ekiti State, loyal to former Governor Ayodele Fayose, have declared that the real stakeholders and members of the party, that they're real stakeholders and members of the party in the state. This was coming following the recent gatherings and moves by some leaders and members called Ekiti PDP stakeholders to reposition and take over the running of Ekiti PDP. They allege that the activities of Fayose, especially as it relates with its relationship with the APC-led government of Biodun Oyebanji, is constituting a threat to the progress of the PDP in the state. They called on Senator Biodun Oyebanji to step up and be the rallying point towards the repositioning of the PDP. For details of that story, you can turn to page 23 of the Nigerian Tribune. We are authentic stakeholders in Ekiti PDP, coming from Fayose Group. And on page 22 of the Nigerian Tribune says, Oyo local government polls, Akinola in strategic meeting with APC chairmanship, councillorship candidates. In preparation for the April local government election in Oyo State, an All Progressives Congress APC chieftain Akinjide Kazeem Akinola has held a strategic meeting with the chairmanship, vice chairmanship, and councillorship candidates in Onuara local government area in the state. Akinola used the occasion to appeal to the candidates not to relent in their efforts to win the elections. A statement made available by his media assistant Yusuf Akintunde, Akinola emphasized the need for them to work to guarantee clean sweep at the poll. And I quote, "We need to intensify efforts as a party in order to come out victorious in the coming election. We have a lot of ground to cover before the election. Let's do more. Let's do more work." End of quote. For details of that story, you can turn to page 22, saying on Oyo local government polls, Akinola in strategic meeting with APC chairmanship, councillorship candidates. And now, before I go, we would want to go on a short break again before we continue on the newspaper review for today. Please stay tuned.
Let us take you on a journey across continents as we bring you latest news, captivating stories, and diverse perspectives from around the globe. From breaking news headlines to fascinating features, discover the stories that shapes our society and the voices that demand to be heard. It's Newspaper Review on Aloore Radio. We bring you everything from breaking news,
President must know that this is a bad time for our nation. We must look for foreign support to save this nation.
world news, sport, music,
I'm no vibe, Bella just want me with you like I said.
and many more. To listen to our programs, follow us live on all our social media platforms on Facebook at Aloore Radio, Twitter and Instagram at Aloore Radio. You can also subscribe on our YouTube page on Aloore Radio. Make sure you click on the notification bell so you know when we are live. This is Aloore Radio, the voice of Oyo State.
You're welcome back to the newspaper review here on Aloore, transmitting from the GSM Studio, Ministry of Information and Orientation. And the newspaper I have with me is still the Nigerian Tribune, and we will want to take the story on page 22 of the newspaper, which says reconstructing Tinubu can begin with police. This is coming from Yoruba Coalition. A coalition called the Alliance for Yoruba Democratic Movement, AYDM, has listed 2 key steps that should be taken by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to kickstart restructuring of the country. It identified the steps to include ensuring that each divisional police officer, DPO, is from the state of its jurisdiction and that state police commissioners is at least from the region where the state is located. The AYDM comprises more than 130 pan-Yoruba and community-based groups in largely Yoruba territories, including Kwara, Kogi, Akoko-Edo, and Ishekiri parts of Delta State. Secretary General of the coalition, Comrade Popola Ajayi, highlighted the factors following the frenzy demanded for restructuring of the country. He said the report of the Malam Nasir El-Rufai-led Committee on Devolution of Power set up by the ruling All Progressive Congress APC in 2017 should enrich the process, while a roadmap to fully return the country to a federal system of government as negotiated by our founding fathers is worked out. For details of that story, turn to page 22 of the Nigerian Tribune. Restructuring Tinubu can begin with police. Moving on, the newspaper for today on page 26 of the Nigerian Tribune says NDLEA arrests 2 grandpas uncovering illicit drug consignments in commercial bus engine. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) has arrested 2 grandfathers over drug trafficking, just as it intercepted consignment of illicit drug concealed in the engine compartment of an interstate commercial bus. An NDLEA statement on Sunday said operatives of the agency in Borno State arrested a 70-year-old grandfather, Malam Maigemo, surname withheld, and 65-year-old Yamama, surname withheld as well, for drug trafficking. They were arrested on Saturday along with 24-year-old Abubakar and Babagana in Madigiri and Gambo Ngala respectively, while 32,000 ampoules of tramadol injection were recovered from them. For details of that story, NDLEA arrests 2 grandpas, uncovers illicit drug consignments in commercial bus engine. You can turn to page 26 of the Nigerian Tribune. Also on that same page, it says troops raid terrorist camp in Zambisa forest, kill 4. Nigerian Army High Command has said its troops deployed in Northeast as part of ongoing counter-insurgency operations have conducted a successful raid operation on a terrorist camp in the Ara area of Zambisa Forest. This was contained in a statement made available to newsmen in Abuja by the Director Army Public Relations, Major General Onyema Nwachukwu. According to the statement, during the operation carried out on Friday, the troops killed 3 terrorists, including a suicide bomber, and destroyed their enclave in the area. It stated that after a thorough search, troops recovered 2 AK-47 rifles and a suicide vest. Troops raid terrorist camp in Zambisa Forest, kill 4. Details of that story could be seen on the Nigerian Tribune on page 26. And on page 27 of the same paper, Nigerian Tribune says UNICEF laments population of Nigerian children battling poverty. United Nations Children Education Fund (UNICEF) has lamented that a significant percentage of Nigerian children experience poverty or deprivation across various dimensions. UNICEF, in an invitation letter, stressed that Nigerian children, constituting over half of the country's population, represent a crucial asset for the nation's future. It further lamented that Nigerian children face multiple deprivation that hinder their access to fundamental rights such as health, education, nutrition, clean water, and sanitation, housing, information, a safe environment, and other limitations. It added that the rights and needs of children span across various social sectors, stressing the importance of addressing their welfare comprehensively. For details of that story, UNICEF laments population of Nigerian children battling poverty. You can turn to page 27 of the Nigerian Tribune. And finally, before we end this program for today, on page 30 of the Nigerian Tribune on flooding, Lagos government begins enforcement of drainage right of way. The Lagos State government has begun enforcement of 3 meters drainage right of way for its drainage channels across the state. This exercise is aimed at finding a lasting solution to the problem of flood in the state. The enforcement operation is expected to take place at Apapa Lekki Coastal Road, Aja, and environs this week. Speaking with newsmen after an inspection tour to check the level of compliance, the Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Mr. Tukumba Wahab, said the enforcement was coming after the expiration of notices and stakeholders meeting with the property owners. Flooding, Lagos government begins enforcement of drainage right of way. And on that note, we've come to the end of today's edition of the newspaper review on Aloore Radio. We are transmitting from the GSM Studio Ministry of Information and Orientation. I remain Aboyedio. Do stay tuned for all the programs here on Aloore Radio. Thanks for listening.
From the great city of Ibadan.